Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for the latest in our Explore OnBase series. I see we still have people joining, so the team and I will give it a moment or two, and we'll get started with Colleen and our discussion about SalesForce integration for OnBase at the top of the hour. Stay tuned. All right, welcome everyone. It looks like we are right at 1 o'clock Central Time. We're so excited to have you join us this afternoon. And thank you to Colleen Albert from Hyland for joining us. We're so excited to have you once again for the latest in our webinar series.
Thank you so much for hosting me. I love the partnership that we have between Hyland and TSC, and I'm thrilled to share with our customers the hottest, if I can say that, the hottest integration going right now, which is the OnBase integration for Salesforce. So I'll share with you a quick overview of the product, but then also a little preview as to what's coming in the next release. So what we are hearing from our customers in all verticals is this. We're centering our business around our customer, our patient, our student, our vendor, our constituent, which means that our operation works primarily in Salesforce and we need apps integrated to Salesforce. Salesforce is the #1 customer relationship management platform in the world. They have over 150,000 customers and more market share than their top 3 closest competitors combined. I know at Hyland Software, this is true for us. We center our business around our customer and providing content services solutions for them. And we manage our customer data, our support issues, all in Salesforce. And we've got customers in every vertical that are doing that exact same thing. They're managing the data around their customer, student, constituent, patient in Salesforce, but need those ancillary related documents, processes, retention, version control, all the features that the content services platform provides, and they need those 2 things to be well integrated. You know, we all know the challenges or the pain of disparate systems and switching between multiple applications. We know that decisions become difficult when you have to spend time searching for the content that you need, and that no one wants to do manual indexing. It's costly, it takes time, and it's prone to human error. You know, I don't know an organization that works within one single system and only one single system. What many organizations do is determine what their enterprise applications are and then integrate those systems so that they can share data, surface content from one to the other, taking advantage of the best of breed capabilities of each application for the best possible solution. And that's exactly what OnBase integration for Salesforce does. So we'll go over 3 things today. The first is an overview of the solution. The second is our product roadmap. We are actively developing this integration. And then lastly, we'll round out with some information resources. It'll be short and sweet, and I hope you have fun and learn a little something along the way. What makes this integration so powerful is that it provides the perfect amount of content services capabilities for Salesforce users. It gives that user who works in Salesforce with that customer data, let's say, the ability to import and access OnBase content directly from their Salesforce screens. It provides that staff member the ability to get a complete view of the transaction, the information, the file record at hand. It gives them everything they need to do their jobs. How we make this happen is that we embed the OnBase interface within the SalesForce record to do three things. The first, import content from that SalesForce screen directly into OnBase. The second is, without ever leaving the SalesForce application, a user can access OnBase documents and data. And the third is that we can configure the mappings, the connection points between these two applications, all from SalesForce. Now, realistically, the first two, the import and the access, that's going to be for the SalesForce user. The configure of mappings, of course, will be more for that SalesForce administrator who's setting this all up in SalesForce. And they can put our OnBase interface embedded into the SalesForce application in a variety of different ways. We support both custom and standard objects. It can be a tab, it can be an embedded frame. There's a multitude of ways in which we can surface this OnBase integration, which makes those SalesForce admins really happy. So let's take a look. The first is our embedded retrieval. And if you are on the line as an OnBase customer, essentially what we're looking at is a custom query. I've accessed my account for plain orange plastics, and I've got all of the data about that account, any open items, any open sales opportunities. And I also, as you'll notice here, have an additional tab for documents. Now that could say OnBase, it could say OnBase documents, maybe it wouldn't even be a tab at all. But we click on that tab and we get our embedded retrieval. Here's our hit list from our LG contracts custom query. It's essentially the ability for the user to search without having to search. It's going to bring back all of the contracts for plain orange plastics and present them to the user. You'll notice that we have all those column headers. Those can be reorganized and sorted in a different way. They can be sorted in ascending or descending order. The user can start typing into one of the column headers. Let's say they just want to look for the approved contracts. They start typing and it will filter that list. They can even toggle through multiple custom queries. Maybe we're looking at an employee record. We have our applicant documents and our employee documents and our employee reviews all as separate custom queries. Now you'll notice that while it does say OnBase integration for SalesForce, it looks and feels a lot like SalesForce. And that's because this UX was created to show continuity between the products by utilizing the SalesForce look and feel. For example, all of the icons, like the refresh and the filter, those are all SalesForce icons. So to the end user, this should look and feel just like SalesForce. Maybe they don't even see the word OnBase anywhere on the screen. If we click on a document from that list, let's say one of our signed contracts, we have a built-in viewer. And this viewer provides the ability to work with any file format without additional downloads or third-party software. And this is above and beyond what SalesForce can do today. They're more limited in the file formats that they can display natively. Oftentimes, you're downloading that file outside of SalesForce in order to take a look at it. When we use this OnBase viewer, we're not talking about any downloads or additional software, yet you have the ability to view the document, the keywords, to zoom, to jump pages, fit to width, rotate, etc. So it's all seamless. And over on the left-hand side are all of our OnBase keyword values. And it's essentially those values that connected this document to the record in SalesForce in the first place.
Colleen, that's such a powerful way to expand SalesForce. As a user myself, that's one of the big things that I need is I want to be able to quickly answer a question, whether it's to my customer or my coworker about my customer, and having all of that content easily viewable without downloading it, like you said, or searching somewhere else is just so key.
Oh, absolutely. And I think the customer is a great example. I need to look up terms or a contract or an invoice related to that particular customer, and you can pull it right up. Now, let's say that our SalesForce user wants to attach something to this record or connect this document. They need to import a document into OnBase to connect it to the file, to trigger a retention process, or more likely a workflow process. They can import the file from the SalesForce screen into OnBase. And there's a couple different ways they can do that. Remember when we had that hit list of documents, they can drag and drop a file from their desktop directly onto that list. They could also browse to the file grab the file, one document, multiple documents. We can import as a single file or multiple files. They select the document type on the right-hand side and then enter all of the keyword values. Now I say enter loosely because only in some cases will we actually prompt the user for a keyword value. Most of the time, we're actually mapping from some of our Salesforce properties to our OnBase keywords, maintaining integrity in both of those systems. That all of the OnBase keyword validation is enforced here. So if a keyword is required, if it should be 5 characters long, we're going to enforce all of that keyword validation before the user is able to import the file. It's imported from Salesforce into OnBase, yet as soon as it enters OnBase, we're triggering that OnBase workflow. Maybe we're creating a folder in workflow, someone's getting an email that they need to do something. We could trigger the business process in OnBase directly from Salesforce. And then next we'll take a look at those mappings. Again, this is more on the administrative side, but just so you can see how easy it is. Here we are looking at our import configuration. We're selecting the document types that can be imported from Salesforce into OnBase. And then for each individual keyword value, we're indicating, do we want to prompt the user? Do we want to enter a literal value that will be applied every time? Or do we want to map to a Salesforce field? So what are some of the benefits? I really think it comes down to, as Jamin indicated, it comes down to that complete view, the ability to have all of the relevant information in one place, to not have to go to another application to search for the content that you need. If something comes in that needs to be captured, that should be tied to this record, you can do that directly from Salesforce too. And then we've eliminated those information silos, and the administration is completely flexible. This is actually a big differentiator for the OnBase integration for Salesforce, because any Visualforce object, to use Salesforce speak, is your playground. And that includes not just native Salesforce objects, but also third-party Salesforce applications as well. So when you look at the Salesforce ecosystem, and we have lots of customers that are in the Salesforce Education Cloud or the Health Cloud, or they're using a purpose-built Salesforce application, maybe that was even created by a third-party Salesforce integrator within the government space for licensing and permitting. We can integrate into all of those applications. You know, all of the applications that you see here are candidates for integration. You know, in fact, we're crafting Hyland industry solutions for Salesforce as well. What I've showed you is a generic example, but we are actually working on a specific integration for Higher Education Admissions Connect, which is their purpose-built app that's built for higher education institutions for the admissions process. We're also working on a government licensing and permitting app for Salesforce, where we're actually doing a little bit more custom work on our end to deliver a purpose-built integration to those Salesforce applications. The App Exchange, which is the #1 business app marketplace in the world, you know, we can integrate with any of these over 3,000 managed applications as well. You know, it's important to remember that while we as Hyland have an integration for Salesforce, we've actually potentially built an integration for all 3,000 of these apps that are built on the Salesforce platform as well. So regardless of how you're using Salesforce in your organization today, there is a pretty good chance that we'll be able to integrate with the OnBase application. So that's what we've got available right now. Next, I'm excited to share with you our product roadmap. This is the history and timeline. I think it's important for you as customers to know that we are actively developing this integration. We've now on the Salesforce App Exchange, which gives us a lot of clout with Salesforce because our app has been reviewed and approved by them. We are supported on-prem in your environment as well as in the Hyland Cloud, and coming soon in OnBase Foundation EP5, we have 2 major enhancements. There's more coming, but 2 major enhancements that I want to share. And the first is that we will surface OnBase workflow directly from Salesforce as well. So you can see just to the left of my first pink box is the OnBase Documents tab. That's akin to our custom query that I showed you before. Well, next we have our OnBase Workflow tab. So now we're surfacing workflow. Along the left-hand side, you see what would be your workflow queues. How many items do I have that are processing, approved, rejected? I've selected the processing queue, and I can see 2 individual items that need to be looked at for suited group. I can select an individual item, and now if you look to the far right, I have the ability to execute my OnBase workflow ad hoc task directly from the Salesforce screen. So now the Salesforce user is participating in OnBase workflow, while other users also involved in this process may be in OnBase, or they may be in another ERP type system or business application, or maybe they're on their phone and their mobile device, but they're able to access OnBase workflow in the place that makes the most sense for them.
That's awesome.
I know, I'm so excited because we actually use, and this one like pairs right along with it. You know, we use, as I mentioned, Salesforce extensively for our customer information. We also use Salesforce mobile extensively. So if I'm out and I need to look up some customer data or info to respond to a query, I can pull it up on my phone. Well, now our integration for Salesforce will be part of Salesforce mobile as well. So we see the documents, we see the workflow. Here I'm looking at an OnBase document surfaced in Salesforce mobile, both keywords and content, as well as what I just showed, which is the ability to look at those workflow queues and execute those ad hoc tasks, not just from my browser-based instance, but also from my Salesforce One mobile app as well. And this includes mobile capture and device camera integration as well. So you could, you'd have to play around with your lighting and such, but you could certainly capture from your phone and take a picture of a document via the Salesforce app and get it into OnBase and complete all of that indexing right on your phone. All right, and then we'll round out now with some additional information resources. The first place I'd like you to take a look is the Salesforce App Exchange. So we have a listing on the Hyland OnBase, for the Hyland OnBase integration for Salesforce on Salesforce's App Exchange. This will allow you to take advantage of a 30-day trial license almost instantly. Now, I will say you do need to have OnBase in place for this integration to work, but you can watch a demo, you can review some slides, get some basic information, and you could, if you had OnBase up and running, you could get the integration going for a 30-day trial and play around with it. You will need to be on OnBase Foundation EP2 or greater for the integration to work. And then if you are an existing OnBase customer, we invite you to get more information on the Hyland community. Here you'll see demo videos. This is where we have a lot of content on industry-specific solutions as well. You can post your questions to the forum to be answered by experts. A great place to start your research on the integration. And then lastly, this is probably my favorite of the three, is try.hyland.com. This is our avenue that allows you to try the software before you actually buy it. So when you click on that Launch Demo Lab in the top left corner, that will actually spin up for you. You don't have to download anything locally. It will spin up for you a virtual environment that has OnBase and the integration for Salesforce and Salesforce all already installed. And it also includes a script that will allow you to experience the software for yourself. All of the screenshots that I took in today's presentation, are all from Try.Hyland. So you really get to experience it, the import, the access, and the configuration for yourself without any configuration, no download, nothing. So if you have a question, you're on the line and you have a question, please utilize the chat feature and we will be happy to answer those. As those are coming in though, I'll kind of round out. So we started at the beginning with some of the pain points of disparate systems. When you bring the Hyland OnBase and Salesforce worlds together, we've now solved for those disconnected systems. We've reduced application switching. We've centrally stored documents in one place. We have a big state government customer that has recently spun up the integration for Salesforce and connected it with their OnBase system. They have noted that both of those applications are enterprise applications for them, and they've identified OnBase as their hub. That's where their processes are going to live. That's where their documents are going to live. But they're going to feed these other, sometimes externally facing systems in the right context as it makes sense. And Salesforce is one of those. So their ability to search and retrieve and import all directly from Salesforce means that we can extend that OnBase business process to those users. Now, I have talked today about our OnBase integration for Salesforce, but know that we have an integration for all three of our primary clients. So I certainly thank you today for your time and attention. As you can tell, I'm very excited about this integration. It's one of my favorites to talk about because not only am I the evangelist for this integration, but I am also a user within our Hyland environment as well. So Jamin, that is all I have on the integration. I will turn it over to you to see if we have any questions, and if not, to wrap it up for us.
Yeah, no, the only question actually I had was just to clarify any licensing considerations that we might want to take into account for our OnBase users who might be interested in exploring this integration.
Sure. Licensing is a great question. And it's a good one because I think this is a very attractive licensing model. You of course are already licensed for your OnBase system, but for these individual Salesforce users that need OnBase access, it's $20 per user per month to get access to the import, the access, the search, and coming soon in EP5, the workflow and Salesforce mobile as well, all for that $20 per user per month. And the frequently asked question that I get along the lines of what you're asking is always, well, do they also need an OnBase client license? Do they also need a workflow license? And I'm thrilled that I get to say this, they do not. The $20 per user per month includes all of the functionality that we surface through Salesforce now and into the future. So if you think of an organization, they've got a couple dozen users in Salesforce that need, kind of the primary content services feature set, they're going to get that at an attractive price.
That's pretty impressive. Yeah, I can see a lot of use cases and value add to customers that have both there to really be considering adding this connectivity for sure.
Yep, and there's a little bit more on the licensing on the Salesforce App Exchange. Of course, if you're an existing OnBase customer, connect with TSC and they'll get you all sorted out. The only other considerations is that you will need to be on OnBase Foundation EP2 or greater. And I would say that that's maybe the biggest hurdle right now is customers wanting and needing to upgrade to a foundation build first, and then they can start to take advantage of the integration from there. But we already have about a dozen or so customers that are using it in production. So we're excited about that considering it's fairly new.
Sounds like a good reason to get a foundation release upgrade on our roadmaps too.
Yes. I agree.
Well, thank you so much. This has been super informational. And for anyone on the line, we always want to make sure that you've got places to go and ideas for where to get more information. Colleen mentioned quite a few. But again, we always like to mention one of the options available to you is leveraging a managed services support type situation for exploring developing roadmaps for adding something like this integration or an upgrade to your roadmap, and getting more strategic about overall how you're leveraging your investment in OnBase as a platform. So whether it's with TSC or another support partner, realize that that's something that you should always be discussing with that partner about strategic planning, integration, and all of these other things that we discuss on these wonderful webinars. So before we give some time back to you in your day, we always hit on the resources next time in feedback. So reach out to us or your OnBase support partner as discussed if you want to talk about any details, if you've got customer use cases, if you want to learn more about licensing or the integration. And we would love to see you join us for our next set of webinars. Here's some little teasers about what we're planning. It's something called the TSC Crawler. We're excited to show you in July. We're going to talk about case management, specifically a use case for public defenders in August. And then we're planning on bringing something together for change management. And we don't have exact dates on that yet, but that'll be coming soon. We'd love to hear from you. Do you have ideas about topics that you'd like to see or hear from us as a team and as part of this series? Please let us know. There's an email there, or connect with any of us if you have our direct connect, and we'd love to have suggestions from you. And with that, I don't see any other questions in the chat, Colleen. So thank you so much for joining us and sharing the latest and greatest with us today. I'm personally really excited to get my hands on this integration and share it with a handful of customers I've got in mind that are Salesforce users. I think this is really just the tip of the iceberg. Sounds like a lot of really neat things coming on the roadmap as well.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. And I agree, it is a fun one, both as on the software side of it, because it's so cutting edge and Salesforce is so exciting and they're doing so many neat things, but also as a user as well.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thanks for your time today, Colleen. As always, it's educational
Absolutely.
and fun, and we'll look forward to next time.
Very good. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks. Take care.